Welcome to the Closer Experience, our midweek experience at the Leadership Church. Closer is a place where believers can grow closer to God. At TLC, we believe that making a spiritual development enhances our relationship with God, and that is more than a Sunday experience. And our Closer community provides just that. And now, the Closer Experience.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for another Wednesday Closer Experience. I tell you, I know it's sunshiny outside, but the beauty of technology is you can be in the park, you can be in your car, you can be on the job, you can be at home, so you could be joining us from anywhere. And we thank you for your joining us tonight. It's going to be another star-studded lineup for our Closer Experience. Make sure that you like and share this information. As you know, we are in the month of social justice and community engagement. It has been a star-studded lineup, and I just want to give you a tidbit of what we've covered. But mind you, you can also go out to YouTube and click on the Leadership Church and find the information. You don't want to miss it. So we started out the month with what's at stake if we don't vote. And let me tell you, we talked about voter suppression. We talked about how to check your MVP to make sure that they haven't dropped you off the rolls. We talked about those that were in prison that can vote, up to the tune of 200,000 citizens that are able to vote. We talked about 2025. So there was so much covered. And then we went to the second week where we talked about pivoting from the ballot box. And we talked more about the education and community engagement with the Turners. And so tonight we are going to have another star-studded lineup, like I said, and it's going to be an open forum. We're going to have some open conversations, but I want to start by just doing a quick introduction. Now I'm just going to say off the rip, I can't do it justice, but we're going to try and at least represent well, ladies. So forgive me, but I want to start the introductions. I'll start with myself first. I'm Elder Jeanette Pollock, and I'm the lead elder with the Leadership Church under Pastors Tony and Alicia Cash. And so thankful to be able to serve under their leadership, amazing leadership. So I'm going to start out with Miss Helen Butler. And Miss Butler serves as the executive director of the Georgia Coalition of the People's Agenda, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization comprised of representatives from human rights, civil rights, environmental, labor, women, young professionals, youth, elected officials, peace and justice groups throughout the state of Georgia and other southern states, founded by the late Dr. Joseph E. Lowery, that advocates for voting rights and justice issues. You can see already how prominent you are to this conversation. She also serves as the convener of the Black Women's Roundtable of Georgia as an affiliate of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation to promote health and wellness, economic security, education, and global empowerment of Black women. Hold up, we're not done. She served on the Morgan County Board of Elections from 2010 until June of 2021. And served as a past member of the State of Georgia Help America Vote Advocacy Committee, HAVA. Oh, there's one more. Due to her work in mobilizing and increasing turnout, I told you it's going to be deep, increasing turnout of Georgians in the January runoff election that elected 2 U.S. senators, she was recognized in 2021 as a democracy's defender as Glamour Magazine's Women of the Year. And ladies and gentlemen, that's Helen Butler. And so thank you for joining us. You want to say a quick hello to the audience?
Well, hello, and thank you so much. And I'm just Helen. I'm here to serve.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Next on the lineup is Reverend Dr. D. Dawkins Hagler, District 91. I think I got it all. And she is dedicates her life to public service through her role as an ordained minister and pastor, college educator, community activist, and political strategist. She is a Georgia State Representative, a former Georgia State Representative served her third term in District 91, which covered DeKalb and Rockdale counties, which are the cities of Conyers and Lithonia. She serves as the chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, past chair of the Georgia Women's Legislative Caucus, serves as the House Committees for Banks and Banking, Human Relations and Aging, Industry and Labor, and Science and Technology. She is elected as an at-large executive committee member and chaplain of the National Black Caucus of State Legislatures. She's the president and owner of DDH and Associates and executive director of the Time 1000, an organization dedicated to helping 1,000 women and minorities get elected to public office and receive board appointments. Whew.
Oh, that's a lot. That's enough. That's so good. That's so good. That's enough. So thank you for that introduction. And yes, I am a former state Georgia representative. I served 4.5 years in the Georgia General Assembly. And since that time, I have been doing all types of things all over the country, actually all over the world. That is to include being on numerous television shows, news shows, as well as writing books and working with different women organizations.
Awesome. I just want to give you both a round of applause. It just tells me that you guys are doing some amazing work and well accomplished representing our community. So I say kudos and hats off to you. Thank you for taking time out, because I know that you both have very busy schedules, but we are in an election season that the previous one felt like it was paramount that people get out to vote. This one feels just as a red alarm fire. So I want to kind of have a conversation and just allow you to share some ideals in this conversation that you feel are relevant to where we're at in this election cycle. I think I'll start off with asking you both the question of, what are some key areas that for you are red alarm fires? What is some things that we got to be focusing on? What are some of the issues that are just really stand out to you? Ms. Butler, I'll start with you.
Well, thank you. And thank you again for having us, Elder Pollack, with TLC. I'm glad to be here with my Sarah, Dr. Hagler, as always. But the things that for me is that people really need to know what each candidate stands for and what it would mean to you and your family based on what they say they will do for you, so that you can make an informed and intelligent decision. So many of us are listening to misinformation, disinformation, that really is not true. So we need to do our research to be really keen on what does it mean? What did the infrastructure bill mean to us as citizens? Does that mean that we'll get new infrastructure like bridges, roadways, water systems? What does that mean? And does it mean that we can now share of that money that comes into the community so that we can operate the businesses, we can build the roads, we can do whatever? What does it mean when we say that insulin is now reduced to $35? For people on Medicare, and what it is proposed to do for all of us, and to cap our medical expenses at $2,000 a year. Who is saying that? Who is saying that, we got to have immigration reform, but yet when there was a bipartisan bill that was introduced, who stopped that bill from being passed? That would mean that we'd have the right kind of immigration reform that would allow people to come to this country legally without having to try to come here illegally. And what does it mean in terms of health care for us, being able to have a say on what our bodies and what our doctors and us should decide? Should it be politicians that decide for our health care and our bodies? No, I want God and my doctors to make the determination about my health care that should be there. Education. What does it mean when we're talking about doing away with the Department of Education? What does that mean? Do my children not get the opportunity to have the best education that they could have? And we've got to understand which candidates, not just at the top, but all the way down the ballot, because you got at the top the federal government, and you got the president, vice president, but you got Congress, but then you got state legislators, state representatives, you got district attorneys, you got sheriffs, you got judges, you've got local elected officials that are on the ballot. You've got some referendum questions that talk about how your tax dollars should be allocated. So these are important to us, but the most critical part is we need to know what each candidate stands for and how they will improve our communities, not just giving us rhetoric, not just saying, I'm going to be the best one for you. You've got to understand what their platforms mean and how it translates to improving our communities.
I don't even know where to begin. That was a comprehensive response. Thank you so much. And I'll flip it to the other side. And Reverend, now you're gonna make me say the whole title again.
No, it's just D. It's just D. It's
Okay,
D.
D.
Yes.
I'm gonna pose the same question to you.
Well, you know what? My story already gave you the complete rundown. There is nothing else I can add to that list except we have got to make sure that our voting rights are still intact. They continue to try to dismantle them at every turn. And we need to make sure that homelessness, dealing with that issue, is on the list, as well as making sure that prices for the average American is not out of reach for home ownership now in America. So that's the only thing that I would add. But my story, she added everything to it.
So Georgia is a battleground state. And so it is pivotal, or I should say, let me ask the question. How pivotal is it in making sure that we have everybody registered to vote, that we're galvanizing everybody to vote? Because I believe it was about a $12,000 vote, which is razor thin in terms of election, in election terms. What do we need to do to make sure that we don't lose the ground that was made 4 years ago?
Who are you posing the question to?
I'll let you start. Since you respond, I'll let you start.
Okay, so as far from where I stand, what I'm trying to do in many organizations is we're trying to make sure that we go deep down with a grassroots movement. I'm talking about knocking on doors. We're talking about making phone calls, sending postcards, wherever we can go, because 12,000 votes, if you look at it across the entire state, that's only about 2 votes per precinct. So really it's razor thin.
Yes.
The difference. So if we go, we've got to make sure that everyone we know, we say it, but do we really mean it? Georgia has too many people that are registered to vote who do not vote. And then you have the people purging people off the voter file. So what we have to really do is we almost have to have like an underground movement, kind of like, how Black people used to do in the back day. You've got to go, did you go vote? Or if you came over here to read, we got to take people on the buses. We got to take them in the cars. We got to take them. I don't know what we got to do, but we got to get every single person to those polls. And it's okay to even ask strangers at this point. Are you registered to vote?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can I help you? Because the day is, the day was voter registration day. Is it tomorrow? It's tomorrow, right? Tomorrow is National Voter Registration Day, I think. And so you got to make sure everybody is registered to vote. Because I'm telling you, these jokers are not playing with us. Like if we've never before, if somebody walks into your house, you say, "Are you registered to vote?" Just get on your phone and send a massive text. It don't even matter who it goes to, because most people in your phone live in the United States. Everybody in the United States in the vote. Did you vote? Boom. We got to do it.
So I want to real quick before I toss it to you, Helen, is why is it that we still, after people have died, have paid with their life, why do we have apathy still in our community especially when you see, now he has come out and said what he's going to do. And I heard the phrase, I don't know who to give credit to, but when a person tells you who they are, believe them.
Thank you.
And so I don't know about you, but that makes me nervous. He's been very clear of his intentions. And it hasn't been the best that would benefit a person of color. So give me a little bit of your thoughts on how do we begin to address that?
I'm going to do a little bit and then I'm going to pass it over to Helen. But let me just say, a lot of people don't feel like voting impacts their lives, even though it absolutely does, because who's in office dictates your quality of life in most instances, unless you were born rich, okay?
Yes.
So even then, they're going to decide if you're rich, how your money is spent, the tax bracket you're going to be in, all of these things. So we don't realize that nothing is apolitical. But there's a lot of apathy because they feel like no one really cares for them or hears their issues. A lot of a lot of people don't vote, and they don't take the time out because they say regardless of who we vote for, nothing is going to change.
Right.
And so we have to start educating people on why you should vote, not just register people to vote, but there has to be some voter education taking place. And I think that we have missed many opportunities just to explain to people what your actual vote means and why it's imperative that you do it. And then we have to make sure that when people, have felonies and they come back and they're no longer under the jurisdiction of the justice system, that they can go vote, that they can register. You have to remind them of that. We've got to stop playing around because I don't fool with people who don't vote. I'm telling you right now, that's where I draw the line, and people know that about me. If you don't vote, we're not friends because I have too much on the line to play around as a people for somebody that's Black not to vote. So don't even come my way. But I think it's voter education that we have to deal with. And sometimes people don't know when elections are. That's it, and that's voter education. Okay, Helen, that's what I think.
Well, you said it all. Numbers matter. In Georgia, there were in 2020, 2022, there were almost 1 million Black folks alone who were registered to vote but didn't make it to the polls. Just think what that would have changed. It could have changed every position at the state level that we could have had different if you think the people that are there now are not doing what you want to do. I can tell you on a federal level, affirmative action was changed because of Congress makeup. We had student debt that was going to be relieved and put in place, but it got changed by Congress, by the makeup of Congress. We've had a Supreme Court and judicial appointments that make a difference in changing laws that we've been enjoying for decades that got changed. The right to vote, it was changed because of a Congress and a judicial system. The child care tax credit that was supposed to be put in place, it didn't get renewed because of the makeup of Congress. The same thing we didn't get the George Floyd criminal justice reform that we wanted, or the John Lewis Voting Rights Act reform that we needed to make sure we protect our right to vote. We're giving our power away to other people. So it's like Dee said, we got to be educated about who's doing what and understand that the president is not responsible for everything. If you think the prices are high, well, Biden doesn't set the prices. It's the business owners that are setting the prices. And you got to understand that. You got to understand what each position does and what their role is. Congress makes the laws. They pass the policies and the laws. The executive branch, it implements it. That's whether that's the governor or the president or the mayor. They get to implement it. But the representatives in Congress and your city council make the laws that you see in place every day. And then the judicial system gets to interpret what they meant by passing those laws. So if you don't have the right people in those positions, you get a wrong outcome. And you can't sit out each election saying it doesn't matter because it does. You're giving your power away. Why do you think Dee was talking about voter suppression, voter purges, voter challenges? They don't want you to vote because they want to take your power away.
Oh, that was heavy hitting. So we have power. When you said 1 million people, and I just think of the people that died that we might have a right to vote. it is disheartening, and they know it. And so that is the whole thing. Is it feels like, and you can chime in, either one of you, is they're distracting us, and there's these sound bites that people are wanting to attach on. They don't want to do the homework, and so we have, if with no vote, it's a vote in their favor. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. When you don't vote for someone, you really did vote, because that meant that person got more votes than they ever would. And D, you've been elected. You know, elected officials look at who's voting. They target their resources there. They go meet with them more often. They listen to, I guess they say the loudest person that makes the noise gets the attention. So if you don't vote, you're giving someone else your voice and your power to change your community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's powerful. I can't explain it, but it's, again, to hear those numbers of upwards of 1 million people that are not voting. And so going back to Ms. D, what you were saying is the voter education, understanding the why behind it, and that you count. This has been informative, if nothing else, for just that fact that your vote does count. And we hear it a lot. Your vote does count, but we have and I don't have the statistics to know what is the age category that we need to target. It might be up and down the whole spectrum, but we've got to really invest in educating our people and getting them out to vote. And I like what you said, Ms. D. I don't care if it's a stranger. Have you voted? Do you need a ride? And that's exactly where we're at. Helen, I wanted you to talk a little bit, because I mentioned that you are with the Georgia Coalitions for the People's Agendas. Tell us a little bit more about your organization and what that means right now in this time frame that we're in around the election cycle.
Well, the People's Agenda was founded by Dr. Joseph Lowery, the Dean of the Civil Rights Movement, along with some other civil rights leaders, Tyrone Brooks, Walter Butler, Earl Shinholster, Reverend Richard Bright, Reverend James George, Dr. Rita Samuels, and so many others. But our mission is to improve the quality of governance by having an informed and active electorate that holds its elected officials accountable. So we do voter registration 365. We conduct education. We have a weekly Tuesday meeting. And by the way, we have 7 offices across the state. And by September the 20th, we'll have the 8th office in Rome. So what we're doing is, again, like, we're registering, we're educating. We provide free rides to the poll. We have a ridetothepoll.com website, as well as an app. We do election protection work. We train people to actually assist voters so that if they encounter any problems with voting, we make sure that those barriers are stopped. We also do advocacy work during the legislative session. We actually get people and be at the legislature to ask legislators to introduce policies that will impact our communities, or we try to stop it. And lately, all we can do is stop the junk that comes through, because there's almost a supermajority one way or the other that doesn't look at everybody's issues the same way. So that's what the People's Agenda is all about. We're intergenerational. We have young people. We have what we call the Black Youth Vote. We have fellows that we train as organizers to do this work, as well as we have old people like me that are still out here trying to register, educate, mobilize, and hold our elected officials accountable. So that's what the People's Agenda is all about. You want to join us, go to thepeoplesagenda.org and become a part of us. We're looking for volunteers. We're looking for people to help us to get people out to the polls and to protect that right to vote, because these election deniers are trying to say they're not going to certify the election, and we can't let that happen. So join us with the People's Agenda.
Thank you. Thank you. Miss D, I want to pivot for just a second, because one of the things that is often, I don't want to say often, but there's a lot of shenanigans going on, and it just makes you scratch your head as to, really, are the Republicans getting away with that? But what I find interesting is people are saying, well, what have Democrats done for me lately? So you're in that sphere with, District 91. Tell us a little bit about the politics, Democrat versus Republicans, and what are some of those things that you're hearing that are troublesome that makes someone say, well, what are the Democrats doing for me that they're even considering moving to the Republicans, even in light of the foolishness that's out there?
And that's a very good question. So let me just be very clear when I parse my statement. No one party has been very effective and efficient for Black people. Black people carry the vote. And we're the number one block of people in the country, Black women, especially amongst Democratic voters. We lock down. That's what we do. Now, and Black men are the second block. They're the highest second block in the Democratic Party. But the Democratic Party will at least listen to the ideals and get some things done, whereas the Republican Party is trying to Jedi mind trick people. I mean, we have seen and witnessed, even in the midst of a pandemic, the Democratic Party had to come and clean up a situation that a Republican president knew we had and failed to deliver on, all because he didn't believe, or he just wanted to do what a typical Donald Trump would do. But we are at the crossroads right now. So Democrats, until we do form our own party, and if we do decide, we've got to go with the party that's most aligned right now with our issues, and that is of freedom. That is to make sure that the least of these are taken care of. That is the party that passed the Obamacare, pushed for Medicaid expansion, the party that wanted to make sure that our voting rights were not derailed, or that wants a woman to have autonomy over her body. So those are the ideals. Whereas I cannot really fully tell you what the platform of the Republican Party is right now, other than you have the leader of the ticket saying we're just going to make America great again, and all he does is hurl insults at people and then run around saying they're Haitian immigrants eating dogs and cats. See, that is the very difference. It's a very racial situation. We have all of these dog whistles, and the fact that people are just focused on the dogs and cats more so than the fact that he is talking about Haitian people, people of color that look like us, people who have helped to build this country as well. You can look at Louisiana. Black people have helped to build this nation. And how you want to just say you want to send people away, deport them? You're going to start with your wife because she is an immigrant. So we've got to have real conversations in this country. But Democrat and Republican, the Democrat Party does need to address Black issues head on, and not just do it in a way that is not being felt by the average Black person. So we put set-asides for Hispanics. That's why we have this immigration policy now that we're talking about. But the people they're going to deport is Haitians. We have this conversation. LGBT community gets resources. Asian community gets immediate resources and conversations. But where is the conversations around Black people? And I started, and I'm saying this, and I'm going to end right here. And the reason why I put my hands up, I do speak with my hands, but look at my nails. My nails look like Black liberation. It is representative of all African countries and flags, basically, will fall in these colors. It is the blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors and the land. My nails have been like this for 4 years. And I refuse to change any color until Black people get reparations in this country and we have liberation around the world. So the Democratic Party, yes, it's my party right now. I'm a member of the Democratic Party, but I insist that Black people start being an issue and not an afterthought.
I love that. I love that. Miss Helen, do you want to jump in on that?
I think Dee said it all. I couldn't say it any better. All I do have to say is we want you to overload the polls beginning with October 15th, which is the first day of early voting. Call us for a ride to the polls. If you encounter problems, 866-OUR-VOTE is the number to call. With problems, we'll help you. Don't be deterred. We are here to help.
I thank you. That's some great conversation. And Dee, thank you so much for clarifying, because neither party has served us well. And I think that that is worth putting out. But which one best aligns with a forward movement, with collaboration, with cohesion rather than divisiveness? I am amazed. Never thought in my lifetime would I see the office, the greatest office of the land, so minusculely treated with contempt and such degradation that we don't have the same, we don't look up to that office the same. And so that's very sad. And so we will have to continue to beat the drum that every vote counts, and don't dismiss yourself, because you said in each district it's merely a 1 or 2 votes. Mm-hmm. That's razor thin. And again, yes. Miss Helen, you talked about that million persons that are able to vote but chose not to vote. So this is all about the education, part of the education. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Mm-hmm. And so we take these opportunities this month with the Leadership Church to educate people, debunk some of that, those sound bites, and add to it facts. You know, we're going to be 100 and stand on business and stand on facts. So as we wrap up, because it went by quickly, but as we wrap up, I want each of you to give just what is one thing you want to leave with the viewers? What is their charge? What would you say? This is what I need you to be doing. Miss Helen, I'll start with you.
My charge is you must vote in every election all the way down the ballot. Get you a sample ballot on my voter page and print it out, mark it, take it with you to vote. You can do that. We want you to vote. October the 7th is the last day to register to vote. October the 15th is the first day of early voting, and the last day of early voting is November 1st. November the 5th is election day. Go vote. Be prepared. You need a ride. We got it for you free, and we can protect your right to vote. 866 our vote.
Excellent. Thank you. And Ms. D.
And I'm going to end with something that the Reverend Dr. Joseph Lowry used to say, that voting is a sacred right. And we cannot fall astray on this one, because our very lives depend on yours, mine. And if you don't vote, you don't care about me. I tell people that if you don't vote, you don't care about me, because our very lives are on the line right now, and our democracy is on the line. So please, I tell everybody, please go vote. Your vote is your voice. And if you don't use your vote, then you don't use your voice, and you don't care about me.
And drop the mic.
Yes.
Ladies, thank you so much. And to our listening audience, thank you so much for joining us. Again, I know you could have been doing anything else, but this is so important. It's a matter of life and death. It's a matter of what you want your future to look like for you and your children's children. And that's a big deal. I think of my grandson, and that just worries me. So I like Dee, I'm going to take what you said. If you don't vote, we can't deal. We can't deal. That means you don't care, and I can't deal with you. But ladies, thank you so much. This was another star-studded lineup of a great conversation. And so, Miss D, if you will pray us out, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. Let us go to the throne. Dear gracious and eternal God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the leadership that decided that they would come together, the Cash family, to come together and have an opportunity to put this out into the world. We thank you for Elder Pollock. We thank you for my good friend Helen Butler and myself. Cover us, oh God, as we go out and we come in, God. We know that this is a pivotal election, oh God, and we know that many things are happening in this world, but we know that you are still God. You still sit up on the throne, and you still look down low and high, so that there is nothing that happens in the earth that you don't know or have charge over. So God, we pray right now that people will understand their duty and right and bound in duty to go to the polls and vote, because ancestors have bled and died to have that right. So God, we thank you that there will be no problems at the polls. There will be no voter suppression, no confusion, no deaths, no nothing. God, you'll stop everything as a trap. We bind up the hand of the enemy right now, oh God, and we release your joy, your peace, and your harmony and clarity of minds and thoughts as we do your business. And we do it all right now in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amazing conversation, ladies. Thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank
For the
you.
listening audience, don't forget, go back and watch those episodes that you may have missed, and stay tuned. We've got a treat for next week to wrap up our month of social justice and community engagement. Talk to you later. Bye.